Good morning. We'd like to welcome everyone to our City Council meetings for the morning of April the 4th. The first meeting we're having this morning is the Mesa Housing Board, so welcome to that. Councilmember Heredia is excused, but we welcome board member Gary Nelson. Mr. Nelson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Also, Ms. Mosley is our clerk today. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for coming back to the City of Mesa. Good to have you back. Ms. Mosley, are there any items from citizens present?
No.
Thank you. First item on our agenda then is the approval of minutes from the previous meeting as written. Is there a motion to that effect? No. Thank you, Mr. Freeman and Mr. Luna. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item 3A then is to hear a presentation and discuss updates to the city's housing choice voucher programs, including utilization, funding, and expenditures. It's good to have Mary Brandon with us today. Mary, what do we need to know about this?
Good morning, Chair and board members. Our agenda today will be, we're going to give you our 2018 updates of how we did in 2018, what's new in 2019. We're going to talk to you about a request for project-based and VASH vouchers to increase some housing opportunities for our veterans, some modifications to our administrative plan, and the approval of our annual plan for 2019 and 20. This chart is our units that we have. We maximized our units for 2018. We were allocated the 20,580 and we leased up 20,334, which is 98.8% of our vouchers. And it ended up being about an average of $1,695 a month of the $1,715. And so that's really good to try to maximize because we can't overlease. We can't be over the 100%. An update on the VASH vouchers, which are for our homeless veterans. As of March 31st, we received 11 referrals from the VA so far this year. Last year, for the whole year of 2018, we only received 13. And so we're really positive about the referrals that we've been receiving. We feel really good about it. There's been some really strong initiatives throughout the region to get more referrals so we can get more veterans housed. So currently, we're at 130 veterans are housed today, and that's the highest since July of last year. So we are feeling really positive about that. Including with that, we have 8 veterans that have vouchers that are out in the city of Mesa looking for a unit. So we're really positive about the changes and the referrals that have been coming into us. This next slide is the one for our HAP payments. That's the rental payments, the housing assistant payments. We received $12.3 million for our HAP payments, our rental payments. And so we basically paid 99.7% of that money for rentals during the year of 2018. That's approximately $1 million a month we pay in rents for the City of Mesa participants. By maximizing our spending in 2019, so if we do the same thing in 2019, that helps benefit what we will receive from HUD for the next year. So by maximizing in 2018, we should get close to this for 2019. This next slide is our administrative fee. Again, this funding is separate from the funding that we get for the rental assistance. This is how we run our program. We received right over $1 million from our admin fee, and we spent 89% of that. As you can see on the chart, between temp services and personal services, it's 87%. So 87% of what we spent was for salaries to run the program. So we do stay within our means. We do try to streamline processes and to be very wise on our spending, because we do not know what HUD will do, if there will be any cuts to our admin fees with that. What's new? In 2019, we received the Family Unification Program vouchers last year. We got 28 of those. We've been working with the Arizona Department of Child Safety, working with the Streamlines. We'll receive referrals from them. They are for families that are working with the Department of Child Safety that need housing so their family can be unified back together, united back together. And then it is also for youth between 18 and 26 that have aged out of the foster care and are homeless. And so they do have applications that have come through the Department of Child Safety, and we're just waiting for referrals back to us on them.
Excuse me, Mary, so that's great, we have these new programs available, and it sounds like the referrals will come to you. Do we need to do anything as a community to increase awareness that there is some additional vouchers that we haven't traditionally had, or do you already know that you'll have no trouble utilizing them?
The Department of Child Safety right now is still working on a press release that they're going to put out, and they have offered it to us, and I thought once they have sent the press release that we would work with our office here to get that out as well. They have to work through their caseworker with the Department of Child Safety, but again, we will promote that once they get done with the press release.
And I would add, Chair, that we are talking to our providers in Mesa that work with homeless youth and families that might be in the system, because it may take time for those caseworkers at the different sites that are in the CPS system. So we are, for instance, Helen's Hope Chest that works with foster youth to make sure that they're aware of this program, because often if they can bring it to the attention of their caseworkers and say, you know, I need housing, is this a program I would be eligible for, then they can look into getting that application through.
As long as there's a pause, I just need to note that I incorrectly excused Mr. Heredia from this meeting. He's participating telephonically in case. Are you there, Mr. Heredia?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
I think we're on mute. Frankie?
Yes.
I've been conversing with him by text message, so I believe he's there via text. He's participating. I'm sorry. Please
That's
proceed.
okay. The second one is we received the 28 mainstream vouchers. This is different from our other mainstream vouchers. This is for non-elderly disabled families or individuals that are either homeless, at risk of homeless, institutionalized, or at risk of being institutionalized. We first have to go to our current waiting list and identify eligibility for any of those that may be eligible for these vouchers. And then once we do that, we'll be working with some of the organizations throughout the valley to send those referrals to us. Our rollout of our landlord incentive program, increasing housing opportunities in Mesa, has been going on since January. We have currently helped about 6 or 8 VASH participants with application fees, which is a big barrier for them trying to find units. So we're excited about that going forward. A 2019 goal that continues is our outreach to landlords, to increase our landlords, to get more to work with our program. We continually try to find ideas and ways that we can outreach them. And the last one is focusing on housing opportunities for our veterans. That's also a strong focus that we will have this year.
When we talk about trying to find housing for our veterans, there is one option for us to utilize our existing VASH vouchers in a different way, and that's called through project-based vouchers. And what that means is you attach a voucher to a unit. We currently do that with La Mesita and Escobedo. That was part of the package that was submitted. We're not proposing to do this with any type of LIHTC properties. What we're proposing is using existing landlords or landlords that want to rehab their units and get market rents. And if we can do an RFP to solicit using up to 20 of those VASH vouchers to attach to a unit, then what happens is we now have dedicated units for our veterans. We would be looking for 1 and 2 bedrooms that have utilities included. And so we haven't done this, so we're requesting from the Housing Governing Board permission to move forward with this and see what kind of interest we get in being able to dedicate some units for our veterans. So I would welcome any questions. This is a little different. Now, one of the things we do is the contract would be anywhere between 5 to 15 years, depending on how new the units are and what kind of conditions they are. And again, the rent is still based on the individual's income. The veterans will live there as long as they want. If they choose to move, they can still take a VASH voucher with them, but the VASH voucher remains with that unit. And we just think this is a good solution to developing more units that are available for our veterans, since that is a concern that we've heard from the VA.
Mr. Freeman?
Thanks, Liz. So you're saying there's a demand for those units for our veterans?
Yes.
And overall throughout the community, or?
Chair and Vice Mayor Freeman, I will say, we've experienced a lot of concerns from the VA caseworkers that when they're out there searching for units. And so especially units that don't have utilities included, because many of our homeless veterans are coming in with no income, and so it takes time for them to get those benefits in place, or if they get to start back to working, it takes time. So this is just a great need, and if we do this, we've been told by the VA that the referrals would probably increase once they know that they have dedicated units.
Okay, so a follow-up question then is the landlords, your outreach to the landlords and converting them into the VASH program. How's that outreach going? I mean, is there a percentage, have you increased your landlord base from where it is today to accommodate the vouchers program on either side?
So we don't have data on that, but based on anecdotally, we haven't seen a huge increase yet. The market is still doing really well for our landlords, and so working with our programs is not necessarily at the top of their list. We hope that this is basically a guaranteed long-term contract with rents. So should the market take a dip, they will not, their rents won't, they won't lose rents, they won't lose this contract. So that's the way we'll market that, is to say this is, based on the contract, a good deal.
So I know you had a landlord fair to recruit landlords.
Yes.
Was that successful? And did you, what I'm asking too is, did you get any more landlords to add it to your base?
We got a couple landlords from that landlord seminar, and we were happy with that because we continually are losing them small by small. We're seeing that they're buying, we're getting new owners for some of the complexes, and the new owners are choosing not to go with the program. So, but with this, we're hoping that some of the 4plexes, 8plexes, some of these smaller complexes that we see throughout the city, that maybe they could be upgraded and brought up that will help the housing stock in Mesa, and we can also use that for our veterans.
Thank you.
Mr. Luna?
So I think you answered, I think Mr. Freeman, Vice Mayor Freeman answered it, but one of the issues was the inventory. We have sufficient inventory. Why did you decide not to go with some of the LIHTC housing? I know we're getting some built in East Mesa.
Chair and Councilmember Luna, I would say that the LIHTC takes time, and also I just believe that our project-based vouchers would be better suited with existing housing. We have found that the veterans don't like large apartments. They tend to like kind of a smaller footprint where they live. And so we're hoping to target some of those smaller landlords, private landlords, because they tend to be more willing to work with veterans, and this is, again, a great way of source of income for private landlords, whereas large apartments sometimes have corporate rules and policies that make it a little more difficult.
And you're confident we have enough inventory, or based on the fair that happened?
Well, the inventory is there, the participation hasn't been. So it's going to be really important that when we put this out, that we're literally touching on the doors of the private landlords to say this is something different and new. We've not done that before, so this is going to require some different type of outreach than what we've been doing. We just need to find new ways to get the word out.
I think this is a great idea, because as you indicated, right now, we have 8 voucher recipients out looking for a landlord to please take my money.
Yes.
And I think that's an ongoing process. We always have more vouchers than we have landlords willing to participate. So, and I was trying to, when you presented this idea, I was trying to figure out why would a landlord do this? Because as you indicated, the market is so good for them, why they don't need to participate in these types of programs. But maybe the inducement of signing a long-term contract and not having to worry about marketing and all of the things tied to being a landlord would be a good incentive. So, and I think you're right, the market would be the smaller property management companies, the one-off investors. So I think if we can get the word out, we stand a good chance of this might be the solution to the problem you've been looking for. So great, I'm sorry, please proceed.
No, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any more questions.
Yeah.
Also, once a year, we come to you to get approval of 2 documents. One is our administrative plan, and the administrative plan really is our policies and procedures for where the HUD program does not speak to. So HUD has a lot of rules, but there's a lot of places in those regulations that say up to the discretion of the housing authority. So this administrative plan fills in those blanks, sets policies such as how many people per bedroom, and other types of things that are pertinent to our community and our needs in our community. What our wait list looks like as far as preferences. We have City of Mesa residents as the #1 preference, and so they get additional points and placement on the wait list. So those are things that can be found in our administrative plan. Every year we update it. There's sometimes changes in the federal regulations, and that's really what has impacted our changes this year related to lead-based paint reporting and data sharing. So we're working with Maricopa County Public Health to share information on units that could be lead-based paint. And so they compare it with any families that have come to them with those type of issues. So we're working on that. That's been updated into the admin plan, as well as information on the new family unification program vouchers and our proposal to do project-based vouchers starting in April.
Mr. Thompson.
Lead-based paint reporting and data sharing, I mean, lead-based paint hasn't been, it was outlawed in the 70s. Are we finding still in Mesa housing with lead-based paint?
Chair and Councilmember Freeman, I will say that.
Thompson?
Thompson, oh my goodness, I am
okay.
so sorry. Can I tell you, my son, my son's battery dying really has thrown me off today. So, this is pertaining to houses built before 1978. So there are still reports of children that have ingested lead-based paint, and so the Maricopa County has really taken additional steps to work with housing authorities to identify those units. I will say in Mesa, we've only done 2 reports so far, so we're probably not going to see a heck of a lot, but it's still an ability to match services and ensure that those issues are being addressed in those homes. Oh, okay. That's okay. So the other document is the 5-year agency plan, and we are in the 5th year. The agency plan is really the document that we have to be accountable to HUD regarding our goals and our mission and our operations. We give updates every year related to any revisions and policy changes, any new activities, and again, progress report. As Mary has shared, our program is very successful in utilizing almost all our vouchers. We're at 1,771 vouchers with over 13 million in funding. And so our report to HUD is going to be very positive. And we would just need a resolution to be able to to submit that to HUD.
Okay, thank you, Liz. So let's be clear on what we're doing. The agenda item 3A is a presentation and to discuss updates, but we do have some action items.
Yes.
So the comment you just made, we do need to provide direction and we need a motion on the Section 8 administrative plan. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Council, thank you. Second? Thank you. There's a motion and a second to approve the modifications to the Section 8 administrative plan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
There's
Oh,
one
I'm
more
sorry.
action.
I
Yes,
apologize.
that's okay.
Mayor, we're having, he can hear us, Councilmember, but he may not, we can't hear him.
Okay.
So maybe he could text his voting to you or something.
All
But
right.
He's been able to hear us the whole time. We just haven't been able to.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Heredia, if you want to make your vote known telephonically or by a text message, we will make sure the record reflects that. And he votes aye.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Please proceed.
Chair, we do need one more action item, which is the adoption of the 5-year agency plan and resolution to that.
Thank you.
Is
So,
it 4A?
Yes.
so Agenda 4A, just so we're clear, is a resolution approving the City of Mesa Public Housing Agency Annual Plan for fiscal year 1920 and authorizing the chairman of the board to submit the annual plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mr. Luna, and thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any discussion on that item? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Mr. Heredia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Technology takes longer sometimes than you think it should. We'll get back to you on
Okay.
Mr. Heredia. Oh, aye. Okay. Thank you, Frankie. So that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Please
And,
proceed.
Chair and Housing Governing Board members, that concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? In a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Nelson, for joining us. We appreciate it. The next